Okay, everyone, start now.
Okay, so I have introduced myself, pediatric neurologist from Brazil with experience in neurology and psychiatry, especially for children and teenagers, and especially autism, with very good results in a large number of patients using CBD isolates. Now, I'd like the other colleagues to introduce themselves, as I don't have here like a bio for the participants. So I'd like on the top left, I'm not sure if it's Dr. or Mr. Levy, if you could introduce yourself and talk about your experience with medical cannabis or medical marijuana. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Yona. I'm the CEO of a company that develop products out of cannabis. Basically helping cannabis speaking language doctors understand. Most doctors, if you want them to be part of this revolution, would like to have product that is more traditional, not just oils and flowers, and my company does that. I'm also a chairman of Intellicana, which is a publicly traded Israeli company that grow cannabis with one of the most sophisticated, if not the most sophisticated facility in Israel. Thank you for having me.
Right. So on the top right, I'm not sure about also your title. If you could introduce yourself, it's Mr. or Dr. Oh no, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
No problem. My name is Anav, A-N-A-V, Anav, and I'm from India, and I'm not a doctor. So I'm a CEO and founder of World of Hemp Global Private Limited. So World of Hemp is one of the largest medical cannabis manufacturer in India and the only licensed exporter. And by largest manufacturer, we mean we have the 3 manufacturing licenses out of 5 in the country. And by licensed exporter, we happen to be the only licensed exporter which is allowed to export out of India to rest of the world. So we are primarily into manufacturing medical cannabis products, which are your extracts, capsules, tinctures, soft gels, hard gels, tablets, all sorts of wellness products. So we have approximately 200 formulations approved, and we act as a contract manufacturer for a lot of Indian domestic and international brands as well.
Okay, thank you. Now on the left-hand side in the bottom, it's Mr. or Dr. Morris, I'm not sure, so please introduce yourself.
Yes, I have no letters after my name, but I call myself a citizen scientist primarily because I got to go ahead of Ray Kurzweil and Aubrey de Grey about 10 years ago at a conference on the rise of the citizen scientist at Harvard. So I have a little bit of baggage to help me along. So I come from the agricultural area. I am a nutraceutical developer. I still am a quote farmer, and as such, I have integrated agricultural methods along with 45 years of reading journals since high school to understand both sides of the product design, the biology, and reading up and down regulations. In that, our claim to fame is that we can introduce cannabinoids into foods in Canada by essentially reading the regulations to show that we can grind up rough grain, which could be 99% biomass, and then it qualifies to be a food product. And we can then prevent that, which is not extraction. We use methods that are all food grade methods to produce food grade products. And then we've discovered and use a method which converts the cannabinoids into cannabisides, which are not on any schedule and thus are not regulated and are not listed, but we know from what product goes into our manufacturing, which is fermentation, what material comes out. And so we've established a number of workarounds, you might say, to produce in high volume, where we can ferment tens of thousands of gallons at a time at very, very low cost, bulk product that can go into the manufacturing streams of regular manufacturers of virtually any food product.
Okay, so thank you. And finally, I'm not sure about the title either. I'm sorry. It's Mr. Ratch. I don't know how to pronounce your name either. On this, maybe you don't know how to pronounce mine. So we are even. I apologize for that. So please introduce yourself.
I'm Dr. Ratchakrit from Thailand. I'm a general surgeon, and I'm work under the Thonburi Hospital Group. So this is the first private hospital that's got a license for growing and research for the cannabis, and a chief director at a cannabis planning project. So we're working for a new strain here. We try stabilizing our new strain and use a technologies for growing. It's not complete yet, but the strain is I think it's good now. Yeah.
Okay, so I believe this is a short interaction. So according to the schedule, we have kind of 5 minutes for each participant. I'll exclude myself, so you have more time to present. So I would ask each of you again in the same order. As this is a medical panel, so maybe you talk about the major challenges in your area, and also for what condition or what area of medicine you have more doctors wanting to prescribe, or you have doctors prescribing. So which would be the hot, we know there are many hot topics regarding to cannabis and health, but what do you see now is the most promising, or what other areas would you like to enter or to talk? I see cannabis from many things, but in my practice, it's a huge product for autism, and autism, millions of people are affected. So business-wise, it's also a good area for those companies to start working with. So from each of you, what are your main challenges, and what are your most exciting results with cannabis for health? If you agree to that thing I'm doing, I'm asking, I guess it's a good way for us to start. So each of you can present challenges, as I said, promising results, and what areas of medicine in general are you working right now, or the doctors that are along with you are working right now, or are focusing on that, okay? So Mr. Yona, right? Mr. Levy.
Mr. Yona Levy, yes, sir. Thank you again for starting with me. The way we view it was originally, before we touched actually indication, was location. We started in Israel with one of the oldest program of cannabis, dealing with patients for the last 13 or 14 years already. And we looked at the world and said, you know, we know right now certain strains helping for different indication, and I'll touch a couple of them. Leading one was always being cancer and pain related to cancer. I'm not in a position to tell you cannabis cure cancer. I am in a position, from a personal knowledge of dealing with both of my parents, that in dealing with cancer, there's a quantity of your life and your quality of your life. And with the quality, cannabis can offer a tremendous improvement to the quality of people that have cancer. The same note, you know, the next one after it, another leading indication that is important in that industry is epilepsy, and I'm touching specifically kids. We've seen amazing results with kids and with adults using cannabis, and specifically in times where regular conventional medicine have not been helpful. Parkinson, and the list is relatively long. I'm going to touch the where again. We're starting from Israel, which is, you know, likes to lead the way many times with technology, but it is a very small place. So our next step was actually stepping into Europe and receive one of the largest, if not the largest license in Malta, building, and we're building it right now, a facility which is including everything from import to cultivation to a factory that produce product, thinking that Europe will be the next place where it's going to happen. And I think if we're touching like indication on the medical side of this, it's important to see that the cannabis give opportunity that is very rare and special. There are companies like GW that took cannabis, or at least CBD, all through the FDA route and approve it for, and obviously getting rewarded by a very well-paid product in the industry, the Epidiolex. But there is a route open specifically in Europe and in Israel for treating patients, and I know other countries as well, not with a product that is fully approved with a process that costs hundreds of millions sometimes, but with a much simpler route to put a product in the market that is a pharma-grade product. That's what we call it. Our company makes sure to touch this. What we do is we take existing product, we create clinical trial comparing our product, which is attaching the right delivery mechanism to the indication, and comparing it to a product that exists in the market that is not from cannabis, and doing a clinical trial so the doctor can compare themselves.
Okay, fantastic. It's the same that we see almost everywhere, mainly cancer, for quality and for quantity as well, but especially quality because quantity depends on other measures, and epilepsy. I have a friend, but we can talk after that conference, Dr. Ardi from Israel, that has also good experience with autism and psychiatric issues in children. So next one, thank you very much. Next one, my friend from India, Dr. Anna, right?
From India. So yes, our experience have been very vast when we talk about medical cannabis. Though our startup is approximately 2 years old, and now it's a full-fledged company in India. So when we talk about the challenges, the only challenge that India has is the theoretical knowledge that we are not having, like a doctors are not having, by the safety of medical cannabis to prescribe to the patient. Medical cannabis or hemp as a plant, if people are not aware of this, is Indian plant. From India, this plant has gone to all over the world. If you look at the history of cannabis, cannabis is an Indian crop. It's an Indian plant. And from India, it went to Asia, it went to China, it went to Thailand, it went to all parts of Asia. From Asia, it went to Europe. From Europe, it went to Canada. From Canada, it went to US. This is thousands of years of back. Like we have our own Indian system of medicines where we are traditionally using medicines out of cannabis. And after that, all these proprietary or allopathy medicines have come out in the market. But when we talk about the challenges right now, the way the modern medicines are working in the global market, those are the challenges that our doctors are facing in terms of understanding and differentiating these products from the allopathy products in the market or the English system of medicines from the market, and giving the right dosing to the patients, identifying and diagnosing their problems, and giving them or treating them with medical cannabis. That is the only prime concern that we have facing in India. And for that, what we have done now is we have started with a lot of programs where we are doing deep integrations by taking a lot of disease-specific NGOs. Like there are a lot of cancer NGOs, epileptic schools or autistic schools, or arthritis treatment centers. So like this, we have gone to disease-specific organizations and foundations. And over there, we are targeting by getting them awarenesses from a lot of international doctors. Luckily, we have got support of approximately 12 doctors from Canada who are practicing medical cannabis, and they have been very helpful in terms of getting the knowledge to India. That is where India needs a lot of information in terms of the knowledge support. But when we talk about the export market, the quality of material or the extracts that the India has, I can bet you on this, you have vast experience in your medical cannabis history, but nobody is able to match our extracts, because the biomass that we use in India is 100% natural. This is not a commercial biomass that anywhere in the world people are cultivating. So over here, the biomass is available in nature. We use it, we check it, we extract it, we get the best compounds out of it, and then we are able to use it. Unlike anywhere else in the world, a lot of global companies, like even if you Google top 10 global cannabis companies in the world, out of 10, I can bet you on this, 6 have already come to India to explore the market. And out of 6, 3 we are already exporting our material to. Obviously, I can't name the names, but this is the overall standard where India can belong. But right now, when we talk about the diseases where we have worked, obviously cancer we have worked, post-chemotherapy we have worked with the radiations in your body or the nausea effect or the vomiting effect. we have done. And surprisingly, we took one challenge. There was a 5-year-old kid having brain cancer, stage 4. And in April, he came to us without, the parents were helpless because the body was very sensitive and they tried all the medications. Nothing was working fine on the body because of being a sensible body. So we tried with medical cannabis for 6 months. We were able to shrink the brain tumor size. It has stopped growing and it is shrinking now. We have treated epileptic patients, we have treated autistic patients, we have treated arthritis patients. My mother is an arthritic patient. We have treated her with medical cannabis. And the best thing about India or the USP of the Indian products is we don't have any THC limitation. So we don't have any compounds limitation over here. Whatever we want to do, we can get the formulations right. We have to apply for the formulations through all the standard protocols, which is your testing protocols, your trials. We do this and we are good to go. We are able to sell anywhere in the world. That is a very competitive advantage that we have comparatively when we talk about the global market scenario. I've already discussed the challenges. We want a lot of support from the international players or international doctors or international pharmacists who have dealt in medical cannabis, who have done the thorough researches, including the clinical trials, to come in India, to tap India, to explore India, to see what India can bring you, how different is India from your current products. We'll give you samples, you ask us your specifications, we want to share as much as samples we want. You yourself compare it, you test in your own labs and you will see the results on yourself. Right, so this is what we are looking for in terms of the support from the international market.
Okay, thank you very much. If we have some time left in the end, we go back to our colleagues. Now, my friend, Mr. Morris, the same, you can conduct as you wish, but especially challenges still that we face challenges all over, right?
Yes,
and we have to interact and we have to promote science and that, but we have an amazing product that helps, right? So, and also medical use, as you see in your area or doctors that you know. So please go ahead.
Yes, the major challenge in Canada is not supply, and that we're literally drowning in millions of pounds of raw material. But to try and put that raw material into supply chains that are not, we have very low CBD varieties, which are really scorned by the extraction technologies. We have regulations, of course, that we work around here, in that we cannot, if we're going to have a supply chain that exists outside of C45, we cannot use extraction technologies, nor can we concentrate the product beyond that is found in the native plant. We also have the challenge on the agricultural end where varieties have purported, say, Carmagnola 7%, and the farmers are getting 1% and 2% and less for productivity. So I'm actually managing everything from the seed to the supply chain to the manufacture. The fact that under the NHP regulations and medicine in general, we cannot make health claims without substantial data packages. My answer to date has been to look at the term aging, which is not a recognized medical condition. And if it should be a recognized medical condition, there would be constraints about using aging and what you call drivers of aging. So you cannot describe disease cures, but you can describe sources and root causes and how you might be affecting those. So we have to be so careful as to how we are able to educate people who we found to be much less knowledgeable than we ever suspected in ways that are regulatorily compliant. So it's difficult. For example, I have a product that is a beta product on the shelf for mitochondrial enhancement, one of the 7 deadly sins of biology, the mitochondrial aging process, which contains piracetam and acetyl L-carnitine and CBD, which all have effects on mitochondrial lifespan and productivity. But piracetam is in some cases a pharmaceutical product, in some cases a non-product. How we combine all these things in a fashion that the regulators do not put us off the shelf or worse, and yet put these products efficiently to users, and also the challenge of having a reasonable price, because mainstreaming a product means that we can't be selling people 500 milligrams a day at 10 cents a milligram and expect the average mom and dad and family to be consuming, let's say, 100 to 250 milligrams. So with the putting things into the food supply, for example, if you consume a kilogram of food a day that has 3% bioactive content or hemp biomass derivative content, that has 0.5% CBD, you can still get 150 to 200 milligrams of actual API transferred to people. So there are ways and means. When you look at some of the products that spend a great deal of money to concentrate and then dilute API, we've come from the bottom end and said, well, we'll take the disadvantage of not being able to concentrate product, and we simply will put lots of product as an ingredient, and then we'll look at the protein, the profile, the L-arginine, the other nutritional components, and present, let's say, in meat, 10%, 10-15% hemp flour with bioactive content in food products, and you get a reasonable, what you would call parallel to a prescriptive product.
But Morris, sorry to interrupt you, but and how is the population in Canada seeing cannabis, medicinal cannabis? Because you talk about the issues that you have with Health Canada, that we know that sometimes can be more complicated than FDA for regulation. All over the world, import companies somehow fear Health Canada because of regulations. But how does the population see cannabis and doctors and diseases? If you may elaborate on that.
I think I came into this believing the consumer knew a lot more than they actually do. We did some storefront sales in Saskatoon, which is 300,000 people within a 100-mile radius. And I was astounded by how poorly educated, how very, very poorly knowledgeable people were when they saw the word hemp. And so that was one of the things that drove me to look at the rebranding of hemp, because you would see people laugh a little as they go by, and you knew what they were thinking. So at one time we did a logo that had a hemp leaf on it and a circle with a stroke across. And the logo was, "I can't believe it's not marijuana," because I found that logo actually translated the thought that, yes, this is cannabis. Holy shit, it's not marijuana. So what is it? So yes, it has been a huge creative experience, to put it mildly, to be able to deliver knowledge to the consumer, value to the consumer, because it's my belief that the average family, if they spend $250 to $750 a year on a single ingredient in their lifestyle, and they cannot write it off their income tax as a medical expense, that is the limitation. That the average, the 30 million people, you may have 300,000 or 100,000 people who, yes, can afford several thousand a year. But to be truly mass market, you have to be able to satisfy the people who have, say, $100 a month, and they want to achieve fairly substantial goals. So my whole I think notion now is to look at the aging world and the value of the longevity industry, which I was actually astounded to find that there are literally tens of billions of dollars invested into longevity industry companies now. I've said, well, what business are we in? Are we in the business of crisis management, which the sophisticated molecular combinations do, or are we in long-term, lifelong support? And so I said, from the hemp aspect, because it has a very poor profile as far as concentration, it has the advantage, though, that it can be mass produced. We can come in with stripper headers that are 30 feet wide, and we can harvest thousands of acres, and we can process tens of thousands of gallons a day of product. So we can actually do like farmers do, and produce products that are not state of the art, but they are decent products. And if regulators will not put us out of business, we can take the products like the piracetam and the acetyl L-carnitine and numerous other combination products and create and under the NPN in Canada, you need an NPN for every time you change a product. However, the custom compounding option means that if you put 100 customers together in a lot, you can custom compound and create any particular combination of nutraceuticals customer for customer, and thereby having a very broad spectrum of what you can produce as opposed to a very narrow spectrum.
So Morris, you see a very good market, let's say that, and also it can be helpful for people, that it's the main goal of everything.
I see it as an essential nutrient.
Yeah, so that's the point. So you see also the part of not only the treating disease, but prevention and repair and longevity, of course, is a big issue because people are living more. And so there are diseases and conditions that will come as we age, we all age. And it can be really a fantastic ingredient in combination with other ingredients, right?
Absolutely.
As we see in some trade shows, it's growing. Talking about shows that we have like Expo West in California, it's a major arena for those nutraceuticals and supplement company. So that's a good point. Not talking only about disease, because there are many issues in some countries, but as an ingredient for prevention and repair. So if we have any time left, we'll go back again. Now, Dr. Ratchakrit, right? Please, in the middle.
Well, in Thailand,
thank you, Mark.
Yeah, in Thailand is very cannabis is believed to be a drug. So if you're speaking about the cannabis, many people resist it. It's very challenging here because the belief of the Thai people still believe this cannabis is still an illegal drug. And if you say to your patient, if you start treating them, you say you can use a cannabis, or many of them say no way, because it's been a long time that everybody say it's illegal, it's bad, it's not good for your health. Not only here in Thailand, not only a patient, I say many doctors still against the cannabis. So some doctors try to educate what is the medical cannabis can be good for the patient, like advanced stage cancer. They can use for the palliative, like give the cannabis give them a more appetite, less pain, but we can change the belief of people so fast. It's new here. The cannabis is new here in Thailand, that we say it's good. And the third one is a health ministry in Thailand know nothing about the medical cannabis. They don't educate the people, and they make them very hard that the people can get the cannabis. The police and the doctor, you say, we still have a medical cannabis, but the police can have a way to arrest them. So because it's still illegal in Thailand, the people who want to use the cannabis need to register, and the police still can arrest them somehow. I'm not sure, but so many people fear to use them.
Okay, so I just have one question. I'm sorry, but and how about finished products like oils and extracts and concentrates like CBD isolates or CBD with THC. Is it also complicated in Thailand?
No, they're
Because
not. They're not in
it's like
Thailand.
it's like a pharmaceutical, right? It's not
Yes,
marijuana that people are smoking. It's different.
yes, I know. We got a cannabis oil extracts, but from the health ministry because the law is again that you can produce anything. But in the future we try to improve that you the drug company can make them, but not yet. We just import, but it's still a gray zone, not a fully legal. We import the product from the other country to use for the patients.
Okay, thank you. So, and again, in Thailand, you talked about the challenges. You talked about prejudice. I believe prejudice is all over the world because it's, when I was a teenager, colleagues would go to jail because of marijuana, right? Now we see cannabis is helping people. And in my practice, I have results that we don't like to mention as miraculous, but for some of my children, it's almost a miracle, as parents say, and I as I have seen. So, but again, in Thailand, what would be the main usage? What doctors, the doctors who believe, the doctors who have the science, the doctors who have experience, what do they prescribe for? Again, the main thing is cancer.
Yes, for me, I use for the active cancer. When for the palliative, it's very good. That when the people got a chemotherapy, they got nausea, pain, and anxiety. The cannabis can soothe them, make them more appetite and less pain and less anxiety. It's very good for me that I prescribe for my patients. And I know my friends. My friend use a cream, a THC cream for psoriasis. Yes, it's very effective compared to the modern medicine. And some of a tradition doctor, a Thailand tradition doctor, use them in their potions. Use them in the potion. For me, I think for the patient who got a chemotherapy, it's very good when you got a cannabis because chemotherapy have very serious side effects. So the people can't eat, the anxiety, they feel depressed. A cannabis can correct this cause. It's very effective. I give a cannabis oil that people use when they use a chemotherapy.
All right.
Very
Okay. So we have talked about challenges that people face everywhere, about also opportunities because we have people from companies on board. I have an experience with the nutraceutical and supplement markets for quite a long time. I have worked for companies in Canada, Japan, the US in the supplement business. And I have never seen in my experience going to those events, maybe 15 years now on that road, I have never seen an ingredient or a product with that big appeal and opportunity to help people, opportunity to help the economy, and so many applications in medicine. I have never seen anything like that before. When I entered that market, the buzz was fish oils, omega-3 oils. They're all over those events, but I never really came across an event only for omega-3 oils. And we have so many events only dealing with cannabis. Sometimes, the times we could travel, right, before COVID, you had to choose, September, there's that convention about cannabis, that one. I cannot be out of my office all the time, so I have to choose. That has never happened before. So it's an amazing product, and we have to educate people. We have to educate physicians and health practitioners as a whole to to create that critical mass, because prejudice is taking away from human beings in suffering a good opportunity to improve their health and to alleviate suffering. So I don't know how much time we have left, but I really like it to see people, to see colleagues, right? As I can say, from the industry, from the health office, like clinic in a hospital, and also a colleague that is directly also in handling consumers and advocating for consumers, as I understood from Morris, and also in agriculture. So it's a great mix of colleagues. And I don't know if any of you would like to have like a final message or a final comment, which would be more appropriate.
I'm very connected to what you just say about the potential, the amazing potential within the plant. We're not very clear about how far this potential is going to take, place in our world, but a lot of it is in our hand. And I'm going to take for a second an oppositional side over here. If we want the healthcare world to take cannabis to the right distance that it can go, the right potential, we must be extremely careful with claims we're putting with it. Meaning, we want public confidence, we want people, patients' confidence, we want doctor confidence, and for that we have to lower or be very careful with the statement that we're doing regarding of this can cure this, it can cure that, it can cure that. When we're backing this, when we're backing it with clinical trial, let's say what GW did with epilepsy, okay, with Epidiolex. If you back it up with clinical trial, the world have accepted it. There are $400 million in sale this year and growing. When you can back it up, then it's a time to jump it off to the mainstream and claim on it. Until that stage, we should be very, very careful with it just to be able to gain confidence of the people. We cannot say that this plant, and unfortunately I've spent, before COVID, possibly, I don't know, every other week, a conference somewhere else. And it seems to me, when I was going to everywhere, including Thailand, by the way, I think I participated at the first cannabis conference ever in Thailand. It seems to me that we have cannabis, we don't need any other medication. It's gone. This is a cure for everything in the world. So we have to be very careful. This is not the case. There is need for other cures as well. Cannabis should be tested, and it is have amazing potential. But careful will gain us confidence of the doctors and confidence of the market and confidence of the people.
Yeah, I totally agree. So in terms as being a physician, what I see in my country and what I see elsewhere is that you have some doctors, some physicians that they are, so what's their specialty? What's their expertise? They are treating from Alzheimer to autism, to GI issues, to cancer, but they are not prepared to deal with those conditions, right? So I think we have to educate the neurologist for neurological treatments, the GI doctor for gastrointestinal diseases, and so on. You cannot have like a doctor treating all kinds of ailments and diseases with cannabis, because sometimes we need other interventions, we need other investigations, we need to act based on experience. So cannabis can be a wonderful add-on or isolate therapy, but the doctor has to know what he's doing, right? I totally agree. And also we have to work on better products, how to define products. Not all products are created equal. So, better than the extractions and all that. So people will sometimes go to the cheapest product, but what's in that cheapest product? Pesticides, heavy metals, and so on. So it's a lot to educate, but we are prepared for that. We are growing. We were like, we couldn't interact before. Now we have people from different countries interacting that. And I hope to meet you in person soon.
Today, I would say just one last thing. Today is a great day for Israel. For the first time ever, Israel, they're passing right now, or trying to pass a law that cannabis should be legalized totally in Israel from 21 and above, even recreational. This is a great news. Today's the day. It's a celebration day for Israel. The committee that sat down and decided if it have benefits or should it be legalized in Israel, and it was legalized for medical reason, decided that it's good. I mean, they recommended legalization, full legalization in Israel.
So I guess Maurice would like to make a brief comment because we're almost over.
I guess the concept of personal property rights over your body as making your body ultra virus of regulation, just like your house and your car. Self-care, that's an issue which I would like to see taken up as a challenge under our Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Canada here. Also the idea of, as I said, masking the THC and the CBD so that you can get it past the regulators. I know we're going to find regulators who are going to disagree somewhere down the road on this, but we have to find ways and means to make this simple because simplicity translates into lower cost for the consumer. And so that we've got to serve the consumer while serving the supply chain as well. Efficiency, faster, better, cheaper, because indeed we can produce millions of acres of product. We have to match that with millions of consumers who feel better.
Okay, so thank you for your input. Anyone else would like to comment?
Yeah, so here in Thailand, they have a modern medicine and a traditional medicine. So in the future, they will have the two types of market here between modern medicine and traditional Thai medicines. And modern medicine is still need a time to develop. We still need a certificate labs and like USA. So we aiming for use it's like a preventive medicine. I agree with you, Yona. When you use the cannabis, we have to be very careful to use this. That's not a wonderful, that's not a perfect drug. So more or less, they still have a toxifications. So we aim for what is the proper dose that can kill more or that is make a toxic. We have to more understand this is cannabis.
Okay, so I believe we have to finish now. Thank everyone for your time. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's about to come. And I hope to see you soon and in person. Okay, be healthy, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.